A new forever home for the Prince and Princess of Wales.
And why Meghan Markle's latest promo video is really bugging people. See what I did there? Hello and welcome to Heirs and Spares, your go-to for insight and opinion on two of the most talked about royal couples from both sides of the Atlantic. I'm Kinsey Schofield, and I'll be bringing you updates on Prince Harry and Meghan Markle right here in California.
And I'm Rupert and I've just spent a few days at the Edinburgh Festival, had a fantastic evening at the 75th celebration of the military tattoo. The unusual thing is it was scorching hot, hence the reason for an Edinburgh suntan. But I will bring you all the news from the UK about the Prince and Princess of Wales.
All right, Rupert, Prince William and Catherine are looking to move their family from Adelaide Cottage by the end of the year. There were whispers of this over the last few months, and I hesitated to report on them because I did think that this was such an extreme move that it does kind of surprise me. But BBC got a little intel that makes me feel more comfortable about it. So this insider has revealed to The Sun that they're relocating to the 8-bedroom Forest Lodge property in Windsor Great Park. It underwent 1.5 million in renovations back in 2001 and was put on the rental market for £15,000 a month. So that gives us some insight into how gorgeous it must be inside. An insider told the BBC that Windsor has become their home. However, over the last few years, while they have lived at Adelaide Cottage, there has been some really difficult times. Moving gives them an opportunity for a fresh start and a new chapter. It's an opportunity to leave some of the more unhappy memories behind. I hear that, and all of a sudden it makes sense to me. I understand what they're trying to do, a fresh start. But I also saw Chef Darren McGrady, who worked for the boys, as well as, I believe, the Queen and Princess Diana, say that this is the end of the monarch living in Buckingham Palace, that this shows us that this is likely where William and the children and his family will stay. And Buckingham Palace is basically going to become Versailles, where it's just strangers walking through it. Did you have an opinion on that comment?
I'm not surprised. The Queen obviously liked it. There was obviously the history of the fact that back in the Second World War, the King and Queen, i.e. the late Queen Mother and her husband, during the war, said they would not leave because they wanted to, didn't want to bolt to the country while London was suffering the Blitz and everything. So it was very much part of the shared experience and the role of the monarch, going through the war in reality of the war. But it is being renovated. It is probably far too big, and in a way, you can see why they're moving. They're 4 children in a 4-bedroom cottage. They're all approaching their teenage years, and they want a bit more space. And I suppose that it is logical. Now, the £15,000 a month, you might say on the face of it, that's quite a lot of money. But in the area that it is, which is sort of Stockbroker Belt, the sort of gin and jaguar district of, the Surrey suburbs, Berkshire suburbs, there's lots of these very expensive estates aligning golf courses around there. £15,000 a month for an 8-bedroom cottage probably is not is the going rate. So let's not think, what are they doing differently? No. I believe they're going to fund it out of their own pocket, their own income, and the renovations they've been funding as well. And with 3 children approaching their teenage years, a bit more space makes logical sense. Yes, there's a bit of a hoo-ha around people being booted out of the cottages nearby, but they've been relocated. It may have come as a bit of a surprise to them, but if they've got matching quality of accommodation,
And
then
it's I read better, potentially better, a better place, a nicer place.
Well, so I'm sure they're aware of the PR. They wouldn't be wanting them to downsize these people if, they've got to make sure that these people have been treated fairly, and even though it may be slightly sad, but if they've got accommodation, then maybe it was an upscale and their rent's still the same as it was before, then it's presumably a no-brainer. But, for them to move there, it makes sense. I know it's slightly outside the security detail. I mean, it's clearly a place that's been a family home. I know well that, back in the day, Babies were born in the house. On a wintry night in January, a doctor had to stay overnight while this baby was born overnight, having with people with a family staying in there back in 1940. So I can assure you it is a family home. Obviously, it has had a renovation since 1940 and presumably will be fit for a future king and queen whenever they decide to move in. So it's not a surprise. 8 bedrooms, you might say, do they need it? But they say they're not going to have staff living in, but they'll be probably moving into those nearby cottages so that they've got security and staff on hand for when they move in.
And think about what a tight squeeze it was at Adelaide Cottage when the Princess of Wales had nurses coming through, doctors coming through. We know that Carol Middleton spent a significant time there helping out with the children and likely helping Catherine as well. She talked about how difficult that transition was from going into remission and no longer having the support of doctors and nurses around, encouraging her, saying, no, it's normal that you can't jump on an elliptical and work out for as long as you did before. Your body's still recovering. Some might dismiss the space, but Catherine has said multiple times she's not out of the clear yet. We should be considerate of the fact that we don't know what can happen in the future. And it probably was pretty tight and uncomfortable at Adelaide Cottage while they were navigating this so secretively.
Well, I think, any family going through cancer, it does put a burden on probably wherever you're living. And
Right.
when you're the royal family, a 4 bedroom cottage, you might say, so that probably means that every bedroom's taken, because there's three of them and 3 children and presumably, Kate and Catherine and William are in the other bedroom. So it puts logistics under strain. So moving in, and you never know with cancer, the wretched thing can come back, and so she may be in remission. So you never know what's down the line. And fingers crossed, she is in the clear and can rebuild her life, and they can look forward to how this home plans out long term. Because you think the king at the moment still has a foot in Highgrove, which was his, I suppose, in inverted commas, long time forever home where he brought up his children when he could. That was his main base. So moving into this cottage, if and when he becomes king, I think for the sort of peace of mind of the children, if whatever age, if they're still at school, it makes sense for them to stay there. What happens when children fly the nest, as we know, that will be a different story. But I don't see them moving. They do own a 1A in Kensington Palace, don't they? In one of the flats there, so they've got apartments there. But as a family home, Windsor is the base because we don't know which school George is going to go to.
Well,
Could it be more?
I've heard it's Eton. Is this closer to Eton? Is this close to Eton?
Oh, I said no. It's no different. Eton, Windsor. If they're in Windsor, Eton's across the river. I mean, it's Eton's in the area.
Mm.
Um, Nicknamed by some people as Slough Grammar, but you've got to understand your British references there, and amongst public school people. But I'm giving you that one. So even if they move into Forest Cottage, the day commute and getting to Lambrook, the school just is literally just down the road. That's no problem. So the commute to this current school is an easy one. To Eton, Woody, then will they board? I think the issue is what happens post, Lambrook. Obviously, Louis's got plenty of time there. That's when they get to 13, the next school comes on board. Will they want to go to a mixed school, co-educational school? That might be something, given that the Princess of Wales went to Marlborough, where my eldest son went, who is a co-educational school. And I think Catherine was at the top of the school, while my eldest son, who lives in LA, was a little squit, as they say, a junior, back in the day, back in the 80s, rather 90s. And then so you would see that might be an option. Another school I've heard is Stowe, which is an enclosed school, beautiful part of the country. It's actually where I went, but it could be something from a security point of view. But again, it's co-educational, so I'm not saying which one's going to work. Bearing in mind that William and Harry went to Eton, but again, what do you do then with Charlotte? Do they want to put them under one roof and educate them all through the same route? So I'm sure there are one or two leading public schools going into courting mode.
For sure. I'm sure that they are bending over backwards. Let's discuss this story from the Times, The Duke's Dilemma. Can Prince William and Harry both be godparents? I personally think it's a no-brainer. I'd choose Prince William and just be done with it. But according to reports, the Duke of Westminster remains close to both Prince William and Harry. And the Times is asking if his daughter's birth provides a chance for a royal reconciliation, something that we talk about way too much here on this program when I don't think either one of us are confident in such a reconciliation or reunion. Says the Duke is still considering whether to ask Prince Harry to be a godfather. And it is rumored that the Duke of Westminster is actually a godfather to Prince Harry. So that's why some say that this is actually a dilemma for him. Does he return the favor? We understand that Prince William is actually a godfather. Prince Harry there hasn't been a decision yet. Now, when we talked about this wedding last year, William did serve as an usher, Harry and Meghan noticeably absent. So I don't know if that helps you lean in any direction or not.
I I'm not privy enough to know, but if I was doing it simply and if I was loyal to both brothers, I'm pretty sure the current Duke of Westminster will have, and they will have more children. I'd split, give it to one and then the next one around, give it to the other one. It doesn't matter. Flip it whichever way you want to. It wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
That would seem to me to be the logical thing. I don't know whether Harry
Procreate,
could.
procreate more is what you're saying.
Well, we'll give them a break. Give them a break. Well, no, give the Duchess of Westminster a break. So and that would be my take on it. Don't rush them. They're still young enough. I'm not sure how Harry. I'm not sure. It may be that the late Duke of Westminster might have been godfather to Harry because Harry is only about 5 years older than the Duke of Westminster, or the age difference is not huge. So I don't quite know how it works out. The interesting thing is, look, he is good friends with both of them. And I think you just feel that this is a little bit of sort of rumor mongering, and I'm not quite sure what's going on. I haven't got a strong enough opinion one way or another. But if I was the Duke of Westminster,
Procreate
with
more.
all that land, great tracts of central London, I would be probably saying, right, I'll give I'll give you to I'll give it to William first up, and then Harry can be second again. So, which, but that would be and it avoids all the christening talk, and if what do you do with that? So Harry could just come to the christening of the second one, or the vice versa. So, you know, until they get it resolved, I think it would be easier for him to do it that way. But as I have to say, from my point of view, this is all speculation, so none of it I'm going to be taking as saying is cast in stone, dear viewer.
Well, let me tell you from my point of view, we didn't have a lot of William and Kate stories this week. Okay. I did what I could with instead of just
yeah, that's fine. You did what you could. I will just give you one other story. Now, I'm sort of speculating here. We celebrated the end of the VJ. Now, I'm just, for William's point of view,
I would
it,
you are going to get in trouble if you go down this path in the
well,
comments.
no, I'm just offering as an ex-military man. The King and Queen were at the VJ parade. I just wonder, could William, I know he sent a message out there and a very good message too. And we also had Kate putting out her second leg of her nature video, didn't recently as well, which she voiced over. And that was
Catherine wrote that as well.
I know I'm absolutely, this is from the heart, that, and I'm not disputing any of that. But I just wondered whether he could, wherever he's having his family holiday, which I assume is in Norfolk at Amner Hall, um, just nipped over for a couple of hours to be part of the VJ parade. I'm just saying, I don't know the real reasons. And as you say, maybe, these are treasured family holidays because obviously, they've been through a lot and maybe just wants to enjoy the summer holidays, which will be coming to the end soon, beginning of September. They'll all be trolling back to school. So they're presumably it was a decision that was taken with the king as well. But I just sometimes, from a PR perspective, he plays well when he does the military stuff. So I'm just offering that. Now, sorry if I cop some flack. Sometimes you've just got to be brave. You've got to put your head
Yeah.
above the parapet, dear viewer. And I am. So please forgive me. But I'm just offering that there is a slight counterbalance. I'm not saying he's wrong or right. And again, I don't know the discussions that went on behind the palace. But sometimes, King was there. It would have been nice to see him supporting his dad in what was clearly the end of the VJ victory in Japan, celebrating and remembering that. It was a traumatic time, the end of the Second World War 80 years ago. Might have been something he could have considered. But have I got away with it, Kinsey, or do you think I'm in?
I think you have, but to play devil's advocate, it is nice
Yeah.
to see the king has such a limited time, and I'm not saying because of his cancer. I'm saying because he became king so late in his life versus his mother, who had such a significant amount of time to build that legacy, to have when it came to the queen, and people asked me when she passed away why I cared, why she meant so much to us. It was that stability. It was just, knowing we were just the comfort in seeing her. She was always there. And the king has such a short amount of time to try to build a rapport with us as the king, not the Prince of Wales, not Prince Charles, because he became the king so late in life. So I understand when he shows up alone that that could potentially be a PR move as well, trying to build his own legacy. And so go ahead.
Well, no. I think you make a good point there. Also, he got very emotional during it, and you saw that as well. So, and it put the spotlight on him. So, I definitely do see the case for the defence, my lad. Okay. So, I'm not being saying I'm right or wrong. I'm just offering a slight counterbalance to that. But yes, the king was clearly emotional during that, and these VE Day and these, are momentous occasions in British history. And for the King to be part of that, it was at the National Memorial in Staffordshire. And so it was have been an emotional day. And you saw the pictures of the King. He was emotional. And Prince and Princess of Wales put out a very heartfelt message as well. So I know they were thinking about it, and we've seen what the Princess of Wales has done with that video, which again is good work on her behalf. No fuss, no bother, and certainly a cut above some of the other stuff that's coming up from other members of the family. So I think
Exactly.
we probably, I think we,
Which
I
we will
think
get
we're
into.
probably going, yeah, which I think we might be heading to. But I hope that's a bridge, and I hope, dear viewers, you will forgive me for just offering a slight counterbalance. But you look shocked, Kinsey, that I've bravely gone where no Heirs and Spares presenter has gone before.
Exactly. All right. So let's jump into it. You know what? Let's jump straight into Meghan's content now that you mentioned the Princess of Wales video. And her video, I think people are react because I've seen some commentators, specifically someone in Australia, was like, what hypocrites we are to celebrate Catherine's video and to tear down Meghan's. Okay, Meghan's is commercial, commercial, commercial. How can I sell more
Yeah,
booze? How can I sell more
yeah,
hooch, Rupert? That's what Meghan is saying. Whereas Catherine's like, do you know what made me feel better when I
yeah,
was so fearful of the future and I had no idea what was around the next corner? Mother Nature, being outside, that vitamin D. And that's the huge difference. Catherine's trying to tell us, go outside, breathe some fresh air, and it can change your perspective, it can change your heart, it can change your mental health, and all of those things can also ultimately make you feel better. Whereas Meghan's saying, you know what, I still have some extra rosé in my in the stock house that I'm trying to get rid of. If you'd like to buy 3 bottles, go ahead and react to that before I move on.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. We got a trailer for a Netflix documentary. It's everything she's doing has a commercial bias. It is yin and yang to what Catherine has put out. That is a serious the importance of Mother Nature, which is a wider issue. There's nothing commercial in what she's saying. She's not hawking anything. She is just talking about the therapy of communing with nature in whatever form that it takes, celebrating the 4 seasons that we have in this country. I think you probably only have about two, don't you? Or
California.
I'm not even sure you have. You just have one, don't you? It might suddenly move from being 70 degrees Fahrenheit to 75 degrees Fahrenheit, something like that. I don't know whether you do. So, from that perspective, um, it's so different and beautifully done. And then the voiceover, just reflecting what she feels and the importance, and a lesson to try and find a way for even how small, find a patch of green somewhere to just celebrate the beauty of what we have. At the moment, parts of the UK just look brown, and I'm looking out of my window at the moment, and we just haven't had any rain for God knows, you know. And I live in a lovely part of the Cotswolds that wasn't overrun by JD Vance's motorcade last week, but the it is it's not looking as beautiful as it can do, but that's nature. That's the power of nature. And that was so important. Whereas you look at Meghan hawking her next series of We Love Meghan, and well, if it did it, I mean, I've looked at it again today thinking I better just check because I'm sure Kinsey's going to ask me what you thought of it. Did it look any different from the first trailer? And
Yes.
who
Yes.
are the heck the people?
Exactly.
I
Well,
mean, they're gonna mean nothing to people over here.
no.
I mean, they look so Z-list.
Yeah, yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely. A lot of them were actually Netflix talent. Some Netflix talent whose shows were recently canceled, but you could tell that Netflix had to step in and ask for some help there. But I didn't see this until I read it on the Hollywood Reporter, and then I agreed with it. Instead of a 60, 90 second, however long it was, teaser where everyone is complimenting Meghan,
Oh,
this
give
teaser
me a break.
this teaser, Meghan was thanking everybody for showing her new things. So they said that had been like clear to them that Meghan was supposed to appear like she was receiving the information versus them shoving the Meghan is an expert narrative down our throat. So, which I saw once I watched it again, it's Meghan going, "I'm so glad you're here to show me this," and it instead of going, "This is how you do it," you've got to, and
Well,
Mindy,
isn't she just cutting up a piece of sourdough bread?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Whoop-de-doo. I'm sorry. Unwraps a thing from the local bakery. Then she's gone to a fish market. I mean, whoop-de-doo. I'm sorry. Where have we seen that before? In every cooking show that's out there. You know,
exactly,
every chef, the great Mr. Bourdin, when he went round there, you could feel his passion when he went round and went into, could feel the passion. Here, it just seemed to be picked up a piece of fish. I'm sorry. A load of baloney again. Look, you and we know what we're doing on August the 26th is watching the first episode and think, well, is there anything new from the first? Have they edited it differently? Well, judging by the trailer, it seems to be a bunch of same people walk in. She hugs them, not very, and then moves on, and there's somebody else, and we discover that Harry doesn't like lobster.
yeah.
That's about the size of it. Sorry, and it's completely commercial. And there's no comparison between what's going on, but it's interesting she produces that the same week that Kate produces, or Catherine rather, produces her nature video. It's just, it's getting ridiculous now.
Yeah, I mean,
The
Catherine
way
Zeta
that
did
they're
this.
playing off each other, or I'm not sure whether Catherine's just doing her thing. But you know Meghan's game is to always try and upstage. There's no two ways about it.
No, no. I mean, that's why she's got a Christmas special coming up. But did you notice a few weeks ago? And I know I'm sorry if anyone's heard me say this on the podcast before, but it just to me is just the antithesis. Like, so Catherine announces that she's doing these new mini like short films for the early learning project. I think it's 3 short films for the early learning project. On the same day she posts that, Meghan posts her alcoholic popsicles to social media. So I mean, to me, that's just that explains what's going on here perfectly. Like Catherine her is living the life of service, putting her money where her mouth is, continuing to try to grow the early years project, which I do think is so important. I don't even have children, but I'm quoting some of the things I learned from the early years projects to my friends and family that have children. And meanwhile, Meghan's like, here's how to make a booze popsicle. I'm like,
Oh,
girl,
well, that's so old, that
you
though.
never belonged in this family to begin with. Can we talk about the worm, the bug crawling
Oh,
across?
yeah. I mean, I had to check that out, and I'm thinking, yeah, there is something moving there on
Yes,
that on the plate. You look
yes,
in the corner, and there is a bug. I mean, you
yes.
would have thought that well, the editor's obviously got a sense of humor.
Well,
I mean,
I don't think. Well, here's the thing. So, yeah, in case you're wondering, Meghan Markle tried to highlight her as ever shortbread mix, but this presentation backfired because after sharing cookies placed on what looked like an old rust-stained baking tray, critics online noticed that Megan Sussex now left a bug on it, a worm, which they're saying is unsanitary and unhygienic. And now it's become this PR fiasco. And if you look closely, it looks like a little
yeah.
worm. And
What?
but I think that some people are like, gosh, I just feel sorry for her. All you guys do is pick on her. But this is an example of her lack of detail of she tries to tell us that she's elevating things, that she elevates everything. Well, it's about, and she even says in her first show, it's all in the little details. There's a freaking worm on your tray.
Well, I would say it's a bug, not a worm. It looks like a sort of little insect. A worm, if I look in my garden where my wife's aubergines are continuing to thrive. Anyway, well, some people want some gardening references,
I
so
know they do. I know they do.
I just, they
You're
want to
just
know
giving
the
the
state.
people what they want.
They just want to know the state of my aubergines, which are thriving. My courgettes aren't going so well, but I've got lots of bugs down there if you want to know that for sure. And we got wasps and everything around here. But actually, if you're editing a program about food, you must make sure that your health and safety is spot on.
Well, I do
And
think
I'm
it's just
sorry.
a social media post, but still.
Well, even though, sorry, but then a social media post and, shortbread mix. Well, I'm sorry. Um, I just, let's be honest, that's not, if it's shortbread mix, you can go, isn't it, aren't you, well, I don't know, you can go and lovely stuff in the shops now you buy, which you, with children used to go and make and things. Why is Megan's shortbread mix going to be better than some of the time-honored traditional brands that have been in your country for time immemorial? I have no idea. But if you're going to post something on social media, make sure nothing's moving under one of them.
Ugh.
Right. Well, I mean, because it's not a good look.
No.
Um, you know, um, my mother wouldn't have cared. She'd have made me eat the damn thing, probably. Well, I was brought up on a farm, and unpasteurized milk was probably fairly standard back in the day. Straight out of the cow and drink it there and then. So and that's how you lived back in the. That's now everything is sanitized. But I'm afraid Meghan, if she's trying to, if as you say, in the detail, don't put something that there's a little thing crawling around, popping its head out from underneath one of her shortbreads with a bit of, I don't know, was there any flour sprinkles on top of it? I don't know.
Of course. Of
Um,
course there were flour sprinkles all over it. Oh my
I
God.
mean, anyway, no, that was naff as anything. But anyway, there we go. I've vented my spleen. Hope I've won back the viewers now. I've got back on piste. And conforming to stereotype. But I have to say that the whole thing it's slightly depressing when you know how hard she is straining every sinew to look as if she's this great friendly creature.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm sure she's got a few close friends, but it's methinks she, as they say, Shakespeare said, methinks she does protest too much. And it's like this straining every sinew that she is the arbiter of how to entertain the good taste and everything. And I'm thinking the polar opposite. But there
Yeah,
we
yeah.
go.
Who are you entertaining? You've burned every
Yeah,
bridge that you've
yeah.
ever encountered. Who are you entertaining? Also, I'm
Well,
thinking it during the God parent conversation, but okay, the attention to detail, the due diligence. I mean, time after time, we're talking about a bug on a plate here, but time after time, Harry and Meghan show us that they don't do their due diligence, whether it's not being able to secure the American Riviera Orchard trademark or the bug on the plate for the detail or when it comes to the godparents specifically, I don't know how much you are aware of this, but to me, this topic has become really polarizing because Harry and Meghan asked Tyler Perry to be the godparent of Lily. And Tyler Perry is currently in the midst of a sexual harassment, sexual assault lawsuit by one of his employees. And it's not the first time one of his employees have accused him of something similar. Um, and we'll have to wait and see. Tyler Perry says that this is a shakedown. But if you're going to A, steal the Queen's name a little bit, B, you know, make your children have these Hollywood godparents, the least you could do is make sure that these people have a clear and clean reputation and background, because it's a stain on them whether you like it or not when their godparents are accused of something negative. And I mean, I know that I'm bringing a lot to the table with the bug conversation here, but it's like a repeated theme that we have with Harry and Meghan, that they don't do their homework, they don't think about consequences, and they don't pay attention to detail.
Well, the problem is, if I always, going back to the godparent thing, is the godparents should be people that you have as close friends, because the job of a godparent, if I'm not mistaken, is should something happen to the parents, that the godparents step up to the plate and sort of scoop up those individuals and are there as a sort of influence from outside, particularly if it should happen to young. And to get a sort of tight, I mean, I'm not really Tyler Perry. I'm not aware of all the allegations that you talk about, but obviously, I think we have mentioned, you have explained who he was to me, because I'm not familiar with his work, but he's prolific, isn't he, with what the sort of content and the films and everything that he does. And look, there's obviously a lot of these kind of cases going on in the States at the moment, and whatever's going on behind the scenes. But godparents should be people that you value. Quite often, it may be just another family member. Well, the trouble is, Meghan's got no family members to ask, and Harry hasn't got any family members to ask. That
Well,
was
he
that.
could
Yeah.
just that, he could, but he's a jerk.
Well, it's a strong word, that. Well, you'd be a bit feisty from you, Kinsey, but what I would say there's not a lot going on between there, and that's the problem. And he is, in awe of his wife to the detriment of his clear thinking. That's the part of the problem when it comes to Harry. And he's in a rudderless scenario, whereas we're hearing it's all Meghan now. It's her program, her Christmas program. Harry is a bit part player in the grand scheme of things, and what Meghan wants, Meghan gets. Let's be clear. That's the situation, and has been almost from the moment they met. There was at no stage that Harry thought, right, I'm gonna show some metal here and or cojones or whatever word you want to use, and just say, right, well, no, we've got to do it this way. But no, he has been completely overtaken by his love for Meghan, whatever you call it, or and as a result, he has lost all means of clean thinking, and she's bolted, and he can't restrain her now. And that's part of the problem. And it's only going to get worse for him as she is convinced that she's getting bigger and bigger, although I've yet to be convinced that anything she has done that is really nothing has moved the dial
Mm,
in a positive direction. Will this new series? No, because it was done off the back of the last one, filmed and shot. They may have edited it slightly different. There may be a bit more of a change to the tone, which you might be alluding to. We'll wait to see. But I'm not expecting to suddenly find that I'm going to be cooking and doing something that she recommends because it's probably been done 1,000 times before, but it may be in a slightly different way. But obviously, you never, someone will like it, someone will watch it and say, "Well, I haven't thought of that," because not everyone's going to know, and so you've got to accept you. She may be talking to a new market, and there will always be someone. "Oh, that's a good idea." But actually, when you look at it, she'll be in someone else's kitchen using some sponsored Le Creuset or whatever it is to cook and tell us how to live. So, can't wait till August the 26th. I'm sure, just like you, you're waiting for it with bated breath for the moment it drops at whatever time it does to go. And here we go.
right.
Another. How many episodes are we going to have to sit through?
I will only sit through the ones I'm assigned to watch. Usually, one of my employers will contact me and say, Harry's mentioned or seen in episode this, and this. And then, so I'll just watch for the Harry mention or the actual Harry appearance, which I think last.
Oh, I think that's a cop out, Kinsey. I'm really sorry. I know you're busy, but I really think you need to take one for the team here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to, there you are. You've got to make sure that you've watched every half-hour episode. If I've got to do it, then I think we have to go down fighting together. At what stage we offer the white surrender and go get, I can't watch any more of this.
Episode
Then
1 minute 3. Episode 1 minute 3. I might watch the Chrissy Teigen episode to take that apart because it.
Well, that's a complicated one, isn't it? Given her what happened before, I'm slightly unfamiliar with the background. It's not something, that's more of a Hollywood story, isn't it? I mean, she was a supermodel, wasn't she?
Yes,
What was
and
she?
she would get drunk and tear into people on Twitter. And she went after a girl named Courtney Stott, and Courtney goes by they, them now. But ABC recently did a documentary on Courtney. Um, and Courtney said, I was so devastated by the harassment I received from Chrissy Teigen on Twitter, where Chrissy told her to go take a dirt nap, told her to told her to harm herself, harassed her relentlessly.
How long ago was this? Just to sort of try and.
You're like 10 to 20 years ago, but still, I mean, like I think maybe 15 years ago, Courtney was a teenager. Now Courtney's an adult, but Chrissy Teigen harassed, and it's not just Courtney's done. Chrissy harassed other people online as well. But Meghan is trying to be the face of anti-bullying. So,
Hmm,
it's that classic hypocrisy and contradiction. Like, did you not do your due diligence here either?
hmm.
Because Chrissy's brand has become that of the online bully because of all of this. And like you said, okay, it happened 15 years ago, but ABC News just did a documentary on it. So it's still in the public space. It's still something that's being discussed, this harassment that Courtney Stodden received while a teenager.
And the Meghan bully allegations don't seem to be disappearing down the plug hole, and this is the problem. So, you know, on the face of it, that's not a great look. Where would she be? That aside, is she which letter of the alphabet is she in terms of celebrity now?
I'd say C, kind of B, thanks to her husband, John Legend, who is a musical star, a Grammy winning musical star. And he somehow maintains a pretty decent reputation. He's outspoken politically. And I think that it's similar to Meghan. Chrissy married up, and that marriage elevated her. So they have a lot in common there.
His musical genre is, if I need to check out the music of John Legend.
Like sexy R&B, like I only like one song of his called All of Me.
Right. Well, you've lost me, but
Yeah,
maybe I'll Google and just check out the work of John. What's he called again?
John Legend.
John John Legend. I'm sounding like an old duffer here.
I
Well,
mean,
what
I'd
are you
say
talking
it's
about?
not worth the Google, but what you have done is you've helped us transition to our next story. Nice little segue there, thanks to Rupert. It's like he's done this before. What if you could delay your next two mortgage payments? That's right. Imagine putting those two payments in your pocket and finally getting a little breathing room. It's possible when you call American Financing today. If you're feeling stretched by everyday expenses, groceries, gas, bills piling up, you're not alone. Most Americans are putting these expenses on credit cards, and there doesn't seem to be a way out. American Financing can show you how to use your home's equity to pay off that debt. You need to call American Financing today before you get to a point where you can't make those payments. Their salary-based mortgage consultants are helping homeowners just like you restructure their loans and consolidate debt, all without upfront fees. And their customers are saving an average of $800 a month. That's like a $10,000 raise. It's fast, it's simple, and it could save your budget this summer. Call before it's too late. 866-887-1201. That's 866-887-1201, or visit americanfinancing.net/unfiltered. Let's talk about this story that's been circulating over the last week. Prince Harry lonely as Meghan stays quiet on latest drama. You mentioned Meghan's bullying allegations, and Meghan's bullying allegations really kind of erupted in the midst of the Senabale scandal because Dr. Sophie Shandaka says Meghan wasn't very nice to me. She shows up at my polo event after telling me she's not going to be there, doesn't want to meet with some of our highest donors, wants to sit in the VIP area with Serena Williams and be left alone. And then there's the video circulating of Meghan and Dr. Sophie Shandaka on the polo stage where there's this real weird back and forth, and Meghan kind of trying to dismiss her or reposition her, so that the bullying allegations come up again. And Dr. Tessa Dunlop has recently spoken out, and Tessa has been infamously Team Sussex. So this really shook a lot of people that it was Tessa saying this. But she says now that Meghan and Harry have signed a new Netflix deal, looser and apparently less lucrative, might the Duchess find her voice? This is something Meghan's always said, that she lost her voice while she was a member of the British royal family. She told Oprah she felt like Ariel from The Little Mermaid, who had her voice stolen by the evil Queen Ursula. And Dunlap added, not the one she uses to hawk as ever wears in conjunction with Netflix, but rather the voice Meghan famously refound after leaving the royal family, the one that talked her truth to royal power and surely could talk her truth to the Senabale fiasco. No, really, why hasn't Meghan come out batting for Prince Harry in his latest round of verbal fisticuffs concerning his former African charity? And I think that this is an important point. Tessa says, after all, this is so true. The Duke has consistently spoken out in support of his wife, establishing the president early on and against the wishes of his family when he condemned Britain's media coverage and insisted he had never before witnessed such a degree of pressure, scrutiny, and harassment from the press. As it currently stands, Harry cuts a lonely figure. Such great insight from Tessa about how Harry's always, I mean, Dr. Sophie Shandaka says that too. She says, Harry went after me when I refused to defend Meghan Markle.
Well, you see, this is the point. And we're saying he has fallen hook, line, and sinker for Meghan. He's put his head above the parapet. He's left the royal family because of her. Right, you know, the whole thing is because she didn't like it, did not like being the bit part player. Now she is the master, the mistress of all she surveys within the Sussex family. She's got the things happening. And poor old Harry, if you look at it this way, by his own doing, has nothing of consequence. I mean, look, I don't know how he's filling his days. what's he got to that sort of exercising his grey cells in terms of planning for the future, the Invictus Games or whatever. There's not much going on. We talked about it last week. He was going to run a charity, then he's got to put his heart and soul. You would have thought that just once Meghan might just say, well, actually, this is a pack of lies. But the problem is, I'm not sure her case for the defense is particularly strong
Mm.
because if you look at her history, she's always having to defend. If you are always, the stories that are coming at you, she doesn't think she thinks she's doing right. And her version of events means that she's beyond reproach. And it's never, ever her fault. Harry is loyal to the end, has taken, for his wife. He has put his head above the parapet and will stand or fall by that. And it must be, I imagine, a little tough for him, but you don't feel that it's a two-way street here.
No.
And to some extent, we can all see that. And we've mentioned it. Tessa Dunlop may have verbalized what we've probably said many times on this program, that it's all about Meghan and the rest have to do her bidding.
Mm.
And okay, even this program, if you're saying they're suddenly having to slightly change the tone, that she's being fed information, she's probably doing it through gritted teeth. But, they said, look, make yourself look like someone who does actually listen. But as she doesn't she is convinced by her own rightness. And Harry is just a very, well, father of their two children and, an important cog in the wheel, but it's a wheel that she isn't promoting any more than is absolute necessary. She will use him for her own gain, i.e. making public appearances with him, because that will confirm the Duke and Duchess of Sussex status, which again just comes back, it's just a sea of hypocrisy.
Yeah.
And I do feel for Harry in that respect, but it's his own doing. He was absolutely blinded from the moment he met her, and then his head was turned. Everyone else was saying, back off, slow down, slow down, slow down. And even reading quotes this week that when the late Duke of Edinburgh walked out of the wedding, he said, thanks, bleep, bleep, that's over. Because they all could see what was going on. They know, they're not stupid. William saw it, and I'm afraid it's played out. And it's sad for Harry, but it's all his own doing. So therefore, you lose some degree of sympathy because you had everything, and he could have had everything, and they could have been living the royal life, but she couldn't be the number two or the three or four. It just didn't fit her star status. Now, whether we agree, all publicity is good publicity. She's the star. It's her program next week. It's about her. She's the main focus of attention. And that is what she gets up out of bed for every morning. Am I still the star? There's a touch of Sunset Boulevard about
Oh
her.
my gosh, yes. I think Maureen Callahan says that sometime. I'm ready
Yeah,
for my close-up. Wait, but
yeah.
do you think that do you see you just said hypocrisy and it reminded me, a part of me feels like she tries not to get involved in the Cinnabale story because they participate and never complain, never explain when it's convenient to them.
No,
She knows that if she says something about Cinnabale, it will elevate it. It will also shift attention away from her pursuits professionally, her business ventures. But it's interesting how they will complain about never complain, never explain in the Netflix docuseries, and anyone that will listen to them when there's a camera and a microphone on them. But then they take advantage of it when it benefits them.
absolutely. That's the hypocrisy. Never, they can't say anything about Centre Bar. They cannot, because obviously that would put spotlight because there may end up being counterclaim. But that Centre Barley needs to just go quiet now for its own good, so that they can rebuild the brand however they can find a way to. because that's important, because the children who have been benefiting from that need to, that needs to grow again in some way, but it doesn't need the wrong kind of media spotlight. So it is perhaps better that she does shut up and go away and just concentrate on hawking, as you say, some overpriced rosé.
Yeah.
So that may be what she needs, or overpriced spread, or whatever's going to come out for Christmas. And again, when I think of, she's there, she is now trying to pretend that she's going to be the great song, she's going to be bringing us Christmas carols so that she can emulate the Princess of Wales at Christmas. And what will happen at Christmas? Will we see Meghan trying to do something that endears herself? Well, if it does and it creates interest, then, but you just know it's all about trying to upstage what's going, the Princess of Wales, whatever she's doing. We talked about it last week. They may be planning already for their Christmas. Who has their Christmas program being recorded already by Meghan in the height of June, July? They got tinsels out everywhere at this villa in Montecito where they do the recording. I assume it's must nearly have been finished, and because you can do it because the season doesn't change. You don't have to look like it's winter, because when you put up snow and everything, it can be fake anyway, because you don't get snow in Hollywood. So it'll be interesting. Again, we may have to watch it, Kinsey, whenever it comes out. Oh, look at your face is really, but all in the guise of research. But I'm not going to suddenly have a with Meghan Christmas party televiewing here in the heart of the Cotswolds to get all my friends to sit round and watch it with me, and we all go, "Oh God, that's a great idea." But anyway, we look forward to that. But anyway, I'm being flippant here.
Yeah.
But it's sad that it's for Harry that he's in this rudderless scenario of just feeling like that he is the spare in his own marriage now.
Very true. Do you agree with Rupert or disagree with Rupert? The spare in his own marriage, which is such a great line. I think that historically we're going to hear that line 20, 30 years from now. Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. Rupert, we've hit an hour. I mean, I know you've got better things to do.
Well, I got to go and tend to my aubergines. And because I was away last week and they got a bit thirsty, my aubergines. So I want to spring them back to life.
Do it.
On that note, Kinsey, we'll be back next week. I'll be back from somewhere next week. I've nowhere, but I'll be talking to you somewhere.
I love it. I'll see you then. Thanks, Rupert.